The match that changed FIFA forever. Disgrace of Gijón. 1982. Dark stadium, floodlights, empty pitch. Imagine watching a football match where neither team wants to win. Where two nations, in front of 41,000 people and millions watching on television, decide, without saying a word, to stop playing football. Not because of injury, not because of weather, but because they had already agreed on the result before the whistle even blew. This is the story of the Disgrace of Gijón, a match so shameful that it forced FIFA to change its rules forever. And it begins not in Germany, not in Austria, but in the sun-baked streets of Algiers. In 1982, Algeria qualified for the World Cup for the very first time. For a nation that had won its independence from France just 20 years earlier, this was more than sport. This was identity. This was proof. The squad was built around players most Europeans had never heard of. Rabah Madjer, a striker with velvet feet who would later score one of the most famous goals in European Cup history. Lakhdar Belloumi, a playmaker so gifted he was nearly signed by Juventus before a broken leg ended that dream. And Salah Assad, the inventor of a dribbling move called El Gouraf, the spoon, a trick he claimed the Brazilians later stole and made their own. They were drawn into Group 2, Chile, Austria, and the reigning European champions, West Germany. No one gave Algeria a chance. One German player reportedly joked that he would play against them with a cigar in his mouth. El Molinón Stadium, Gijón, exterior, 1982. June 16, 1982. El Molinón Stadium, Gijón, Spain. Algeria versus West Germany. The temperature was 32 degrees. The odds were astronomical. And for the first 45 minutes, it looked like every prediction would come true. West Germany controlled the ball. Algeria chased shadows. The score at halftime? 0-0. But something shifted in that dressing room. Whatever the Algerian coach Mahidine Khalef said to his players at halftime, it worked. Because 9 minutes into the second half, Belloumi drove forward and unleashed a shot. The German keeper, Harald Schumacher, a man who would become infamous later in this tournament for a very different reason, could only parry it. And there was Rabah Madjer following up, smashing the ball into the net. ALG 1-0, GER. Algeria 1, West Germany 0. The Algerian commentator on state television, Mohamed Salah, lost his mind. All he could shout was, "Belloumi, Madjer! Belloumi, Madjer! Belloumi, Madjer!" over and over, a chant that would become part of Algerian folklore. The crowd in Gijón, mostly Spanish neutrals, erupted. They began cheering for Algeria. "Olé!" they shouted, with every Algerian pass. The impossible was happening. ALG 1-1, GER. West Germany pulled one back through Karl-Heinz on 67 minutes. The natural order had been restored, surely. Germany would push on. Germany always pushes on. They didn't get the chance. 23 seconds after the restart, 23 seconds, Algeria scored again. A flowing move, 10 passes, Assad crosses, Belloumi finishes. The entire move from kickoff to goal took less than half a minute. Belloumi, ALG 2-1, GER. Algeria 2, West Germany 1. And this time, there would be no comeback. When the final whistle blew, Algeria had done the unthinkable. They had become the first African nation in history to defeat a European team at a World Cup. But here is where the story turns dark. Because football is not just played on the pitch, it's played with calculators. Group 2 looked like this. Algeria had beaten West Germany 2-1. Then they lost to Austria 0-2. Then they beat Chile 3-2. Algeria had finished their group with 4 points. Austria also had 4 points. West Germany had just 2. But they still had 1 match left. And this is where the math becomes everything. West Germany's final match was against Austria. It was scheduled for the next day, June 25th. 1 full day after Algeria had already played their last match. Algeria could do nothing but sit in their hotel rooms and watch. Here was the equation. If Austria won, or the match ended in a draw, Algeria would qualify, and West Germany would be eliminated. If West Germany won by 3 goals or more, Germany would qualify alone. But, and this is the crucial number, if West Germany won by 1 or 2 goals, both Germany and Austria would go through. Algeria would be out. Both European teams knew this. Their coaches knew it. Their players knew it. Every journalist in Spain knew it. The only question was, would they exploit it? June 25th, 1982, El Molinón Stadium. 41,000 spectators. Kickoff. West Germany attacked from the very first minute, aggressively, purposefully. This was still real football, for now. And after just 10 minutes, Horst Hrubesch scored. 1-0 to West Germany. And then, nothing. The stadium fell quiet, not because of tension, but because of the absence of it. Both teams simply stopped. Players passed the ball sideways, backwards, to the goalkeeper, back to the defender, to the midfielder, to the other defender. No one ran, no one tackled, no one shot. For 80 minutes, West Germany and Austria played the most cynical, most deliberately lifeless football the world has ever seen. The ball moved, yes. The players walked, yes. But this was not a match. This was an agreement, performed in broad daylight in front of millions. Inside the stadium, the atmosphere turned toxic. Spanish fans screamed, "Fuera! Fuera! Get out! Get out!" They chanted, "Argelia! Argelia! Algeria! Algeria!" They mocked the players. "Que se besen! Que se besen!" Let them kiss. Algerian fans, thousands of them, held up banknotes and pushed money through the metal fences. The message was clear. This match was bought and paid for. Some burned the money in protest. Others tried to storm the pitch before police held them back. And then, one of the most powerful moments in broadcasting history. The German commentator, Eberhard Staniek, broke from his professional duty and said on live television, "What is happening here is disgraceful and has nothing to do with football. You can say what you like, but not every end justifies the means." His Austrian counterpart, Robert Seeger, went even further. He told his viewers to turn off their televisions, and then he stopped commentating altogether. For the final minutes of the match, Austrian television broadcast a football match in complete silence. A German fan in the stands took his country's flag and set it on fire. The final whistle blew. West Germany 1, Austria 0. Both teams walked off the pitch to a wall of boos. No celebrations, no handshakes with the crowd, just silence from the players and rage from everyone else. The next morning, newspapers across Europe used words like Anschluss, the German annexation of Austria in 1938, to describe the match. Spanish papers called it a crime. French papers called it a funeral. Even German and Austrian media condemned their own teams. In their hotel, the Algerian players sat in stunned silence. They had won 2 out of 3 matches. They had beaten the European champions. They had scored 5 goals. And they were going home. Algeria filed an official complaint with FIFA. But the governing body found, conveniently, no evidence of collusion. Both teams denied everything. Austrian defender Bernd Kraus said, "We did nothing wrong. We just didn't have a good day." The arrogance of that statement only deepened the wound. But FIFA knew. The world knew. And the pressure was impossible to ignore. Within months, FIFA announced a new rule that would reshape the World Cup permanently. From the 1986 tournament onward, all final group stage matches would kick off at exactly the same time. No team would ever again be able to calculate the result they needed while their opponent sat helplessly in a hotel room watching television. That rule exists today. Every World Cup you have ever watched since then, Italia 90, France 98, Germany 2006, Qatar 2022, has used it. And in 3 weeks, when Argentina plays Algeria at the 2026 World Cup in Kansas City, those matches will kick off simultaneously too, because of what happened in Gijón. There is a final chapter to this story, and it belongs to the players. Lakhdar Belloumi, the man who scored that breathtaking winner against West Germany 23 seconds after kickoff, never got his move to Juventus. A broken leg in the mid-1980s ended that dream. But he led Algeria to victory in the 1984 African Cup of Nations and earned over 100 caps for his country. Years later, he said something remarkable about Gijón. Not bitterness, not rage. He said, "Our performances forced FIFA to make that change, and that was even better than a victory." Rabah Majer went on to become a European Cup winner with Porto in 1987, scoring a legendary backheel goal against Bayern Munich. He became Algeria's manager 3 times. Salah Assad, the man who invented the spoon, who claimed Ronaldinho later copied his move, joined the Islamic Salvation Front when civil war broke out in Algeria in 1991. He was taken from his home and imprisoned for 4 years. Football's joy had given way to a nation's tragedy. But the team of 1982 remains immortal in Algeria. Not because they won a trophy, not because they went far in the tournament, but because they proved to Africa, to the Arab world, and to themselves that they belonged. And when the system tried to take that away from them, the world saw it. The world remembered it. And the world changed the rules because of it. Every 4 years, when the final group matches kick off at the same time, remember why. Remember Algeria. Remember Belloumi and Majer and Assad. Remember the 41,000 people who booed in Gijón. Remember the commentator who told his country to turn off their televisions. And remember that sometimes the most important matches in football history are the ones that were never really played at all. If this story moved you, consider subscribing. Every week we bring you forgotten stories from cycling, football, and motorsport. The stories that deserve to be told. Next week,
The deadliest race in motorsport history, Le Mans, 1955.